All right, people, so today is our editing breakdown. I'm going to walk you through the process that I normally make on images. This is something I'm going to be doing regularly for the people on Patreon. So here we go. I'm going to show you how I ended up editing this image from PK, which is a male model that I met a few days ago. First thing that I see when or the first thing I'm looking for is trying to get the color the way that I want it. So obviously I need to work with the white balance to take out this greenish hue on the background, which I don't like at all. Obviously there's a couple of more things that I want to fix. Probably lit up a little bit more of light, give it a little bit more light here in the eye, try to light up this side over here. Although it has a good dynamic range, I want to lift this up a little bit more and so it doesn't go into shadow. I want to emphasize more on this area to try to darken up the background as well. So there's going to be a couple of things that I want to do. So this is the raw file. This is how it came out from straight out of camera. Now, doing minor adjustments into exposure and brightness and contrast and saturation, I'm going to go to this image, which is going to be the first variant of it. So this is how it looks. Let's go here to the background layer. Exposure, contrast, brightness, saturation came down a little bit more. Here is the white balance, where I've changed the white balance a little bit more. So it doesn't have that, let me do the comparison. You can see how it was greenish and now it's not that greenish or warm, it's a little more cooler. I did my crop here. You can tell how it was cropped. Let's go back to this. And okay, so as you can see, I've got a couple of layers here on Capture One. My first layer, let me show you, is a luminosity mask focused on the highlights and the brighter areas of the image. This one, what I did was to boost up the whites a little bit and give it a little bit of exposure for the overall image. On layer 2, I did crank up a little bit the shadow over here. You see the shadow slider I was used to lift up that light in the eye a little bit. On layer 3, I did a gradient, a radial gradient on the image, so I could focus on this area and turn to dark the rest of it. Right now you probably won't see it well, but if I turn to different mode, you can see actually what is affecting. This is a refined mask, so certain areas are out of the effect and then it just gradiates out of it. The last layer is a the last layer, what I did on the last layer is add some lift up some shadows in this area of the image. Let me turn it on and off so you can tell how much I lifted up a little bit more. So whatever was getting darker because of the gradient map, which is this one, I didn't want that to affect this that much, so I lifted up a little bit of the shadows on this part of the image. So now that that is done, I will go to Photoshop. So normally I will just right click here and I will go to edit in Adobe Photoshop CC 2019 and that will open up Photoshop. Now inside Photoshop, there was a few things that I really did. It wasn't that much. One of the major thing that I had to change or fix was this little problem over here. I obviously did it on a separate layer and I used a healing brush, and then with dodging and burning I ended up fixing it. So this layer over here, which is already a mix of a previous dodge and burn and a liquefy layer, shows you how I fixed that. You can tell that I already got rid of it over here. And I did a little bit of dodging over here in this part of the muscle, here in the back of the triceps, here in the shoulder, over here in the forehead. I did healing on all those spots, a little bit of dodging and burning here to get rid of that deep shadow. I got rid of this little over here. This is the buckle of the belt, so this little white dot was bothering me, like my eye kept on going that way, so I had to get rid of it. You can see how I lifted up a little bit of the muscles. I try to tuck in a little bit of the stomach, then a little bit of the back to give it a little more of a shape. And that was for the first layer. Then I decided to add a little more of dodging and burning because there's a couple of things that I saw that had to be fixed. So I added a little dodge and burn here, over here on the neck. Now another thing that I do is I'll create an empty layer. We'll move it to blending mode. I'll have my brush, I'll take out this hardness. I'll sample this color tone and try to paint in, because there's a little shifts in colors over here. I'll try to erase this edge as much as I can, and then I'll just lower the opacity a little bit so it blends in better and it's not like superposed. It's just there mixing. And once I am done with that, then I'll save and go back into Capture One. Now inside Capture One, I have my PSD over here. And in this one, I did another couple of variations. You can see here in my layers. I'm just gonna turn this off so you can see. I didn't touch the base background layer. I created a layer with the a luminosity mask, but this time is on the opposite. It's not hitting the highlights, it's hitting actually the shadows, because this is done so I can tint that area. So as you can see, I went here to the shadow modifier in the color balance, and I added a little bit of blue. On my second layer, I created an extra radial gradient map and turned down the brightness a little bit more. And on my third layer, which is the last one, I created another luminosity mask. This is a little bit more tighter, and this is affecting again the black or the shadow parts of the image. On this one, I took down the contrast, I lowered the exposure a little bit more, and cranked up the whites, so the background could maintain a little bit of that luminosity, but it gave an overall feeling to the image. So that is it. This is what I've done to edit this image. As you can see, something easy, is not too elaborated. Hope you like it, and I will be showing you more of this next week. So remember to join Patreon and share this so we can keep on coming with these type of videos. Thank you for joining.